Bill Anderson and Kenny Parker. Brought to you by First Bank of Shelbyville and Kincaid Service Company at 400 Madison Street in Shelbyville. Let's talk some sports. Here are your hosts.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Bedford County Sports Talk Live Show here on the Shelbyville NOW platform. I'm David Thomas. With me is Mr. Bill Anderson and Mr. Kenny Parker. Guys, football season is kicking into gear now. We can start and have some scrimmages. It's good to see this back, man. I've been waiting. I've been counting the days till we can see some football.
Yeah,
and started happening this week.
I went out last night to Cascade. They had their little conference jamboree, and it was good to see.
Before we get into some of the details, I want to shout out to our sponsors.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Kincaid
Service
Company,
where they will haul off whatever they're replacing, they'll haul it off for you, man.
Exactly.
And Bill, you talk about this every week.
Yep.
I got to thinking about that last night. We had to move some stuff this week from one place to another in my family, and it was a pain in the rear end. Man, when you deal with Kincaid, you don't have that pain.
No.
All right, and also First Bank here in Shelbyville, Brent Kennedy and his crew down on Madison Street here, and we want to thank these two for being longtime sponsors of the show. But let's just pause now and hear a word from them, and then we're going to dive in head first into some high school football. We'll be right back.
Company is a locally owned family business that has proudly served the Middle Tennessee area since 1934. We have a wide selection of furniture, appliances, electronics, and mattresses for every budget and design taste. We carry the brands that you know and trust, so you're sure to find exactly what you're looking for. Need financing? We have you covered. With our service department, you can rest assured that we will take care of you after the purchase. Visit our Shelbyville store at 400 Madison Street today.
All right, guys, welcome back in here. We're going to dive into some high school sports. Let's first start off with Cascade. We know that they had some scrimmages planned, had a few schedule changes. Kenny, you know a little bit about what's going on.
I talked with Coach Karka in the middle of the week. Eagleville backed out on them, so they picked up Lincoln County. They scrimmaged Lincoln County. Said they hadn't had a whole lot of contact. Said Lincoln County's pretty good, seasoned team. Cascade lost a lot, so he's young. Said it didn't go well to start with, but his kids improved and they started getting better as the scrimmage went on. He was impressed. He was happy. He thought they made progress, but he did say we'll find out Monday. He's got a 3-way going on Monday at Cascade 6:30, Middle Tennessee Christian and Boyd Buchanan, coached by Gary Rankin.
And what time is that? 6:30.
6:30 at Cascade Field. And then I'm not sure if it's this Friday or next Friday they'll finish their scrimmaging with Webb. So he's putting them in the fire right now.
That's good.
And yeah, that's what I told him. You see what you got when you go against better, and you see who you can count on and who won't back down when you're going against better. And of course, Middle Tennessee Christian and Boyd Buchanan, they're a private school. They're AA privates, and they made it a long way in their last year. But
we saw this last year. Lincoln County's got a lot of size. We saw that up here last year. They were a very big football team.
Yeah, they always are. They always have big linemen, and even the skill positions, they usually have big players.
And at the middle school jamboree that I was at last night, they came on up. They scrimmaged. At Cascade last night, there was a middle school jamboree going on the game field, and then Cascade and Lincoln County scrimmaging down in the pit.
Yeah.
So a lot going on out there last night, but all the coaches all of them were up.
Were a lot of people out there to watch? Or?
There were quite a few sitting at the pit. You know, you can't go. You can go down there, but they sit around the side of the hill and
Right.
watch, and good crowd at the jamboree. So yeah,
People are ready for football.
That place was packed. That place was packed in last
All
night.
right, well, let's shift gears now and talk about Shelbyville Central. They had a scrimmage yesterday at Page last night, 6 o'clock. Bill, you've got a little insight on that. How did
A
things
little
turn
bit.
out
Now,
there?
keep in mind, Shelbyville and Page, if we both have really good seasons, that's a playoff matchup.
Right.
So how much one coach showed the other one, you really don't know. But I will say this: Page has a bunch of kids going to some major colleges.
Yes.
Yeah, they've got some kids going,
And I believe their quarterback, I was told, has 4.4 speed, and he's committed to Memphis.
and then I heard on the radio this morning they were talking to a defensive end. I'm not sure. He's from Page, and he's committed to Louisville.
They
Right.
got several commitments.
Yeah. Yeah. And they graduated some, but they just stepped right up. It's next man up, just like Alabama.
Mhm.
Well,
Like some of
the
these
big thing last night was at the varsity level, 14-0 Shelbyville. And the defense, I think, from what I heard, was outstanding.
Yeah.
Our front seven
you
was
have
really,
a source.
really
I have
good.
a source,
We have a couple.
and I heard that they didn't move the ball.
They didn't
at
move it.
all.
That's good.
Now, the JV didn't fare as well. I think it was 21-7 there, and the freshmen lost 9-7. But several of our JV kids were playing varsity.
Right.
And there's kids missing on both teams
Right.
and all that stuff.
Page has
But
got bigger numbers.
Rocky had a big 50-yard run last night, nothing surprising. And they had a 5-yard run on a touchdown. I believe it was Bailey maybe that scored that one. But again, how much you're showing, I don't know. But you obviously went to Page and showed that fire that we saw last year
Right.
is here this year.
Right. The fire that started in the second half of the Siegel game. The first half of the Siegel game was Shelbyville's worst half of football last year.
Well, the tackle was abysmal.
Yes, it was terrible. And I think a lot of that has to do with not being in that mindset of hitting as much. Even though they had scrimmage, they're not getting a lot of practice these days with full contact. And just it's having that first half of we got to tackle better. We're going to go out and do it. And they went out and did it. And then that fire continued throughout the whole season.
David, you mentioned it before the show. The heat index where it's been, the storms that we've had, it's been hard to get out there for all these teams to hit and practice because of the heat index.
The storms we've had have come late in the day during practice time.
Right.
And you get the lightning and what we've got.
That late afternoon thunderstorm rolling in, that can put a damper on things. And two injuries I want to talk about is LeBron Ransom. He did not play this game because he tweaked a hamstring, and they're trying to get him healthy and get him back in the mix. And not you push a hamstring, you're right back. You go
That's
a little
right.
forward, and you're right back if you get out there and pull it again. And then Tyson Dunn went down in the game last night. Looks like a collarbone. And that's going to be a big loss if Tyson's not able to heal up. I don't know how long collarbones go, but probably 6 weeks of healing, and then after that, I mean, you can't take a lot of contact on that.
I'm not sure what.
It's not a good situation.
Let's hope the best for him.
He's in our
Senior?
thoughts and prayers. Senior. Yeah. Yeah. So I know
But the good
Tyson-
news is we're running the football.
Yeah.
And I was told the offensive line slow start against a very good Page front.
Yeah.
But after that third series, Shelbyville started pushing them a little
Right.
bit. Then I think the line came home.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a key for Shelbyville, getting that line to gel, getting it to play.
And how about defensive line?
Defensive line's going to be pretty doggone good
Yeah,
at front seven. And there's depth there.
You can look at the speed and all that you want. Trenches.
Yeah.
The trenches.
And these teams that want to throw the football, that's fine. But you
Yeah.
better get rid of it
I mean,
quick with us.
If you don't
better
think-
get rid of it.
If you don't think it's the trenches, ask what Texas and Oklahoma
Oh, I
did
know.
to prepare themselves for the SEC. They've started recruiting bigger, faster.
Well, if the trenches aren't good, the speed don't show up.
That's exactly
and,
right.
And we've got the speed on at Central. There's no doubt.
You've got some speed.
We
That's
got
right.
speed. Team speed is really good. And you got to think, if you mentioned this, Bill, the quick hitting passes is what you're going to have to do against our defense. And Page is an expert. That's their bread and butter, is the quick hitting passes, the little hitch passes, the screen passes to those athletic backs that come out of the backfield. You wonder if they tried that very much last night.
That's scrimmage, probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with us. You're not going to show, because you can be seeing this team for all goes well in the playoffs. You're not going to show the other
I'm
coaches.
telling you, when you go to a scrimmage, I remember at Cascade, we went into a scrimmage and we had 4 offensive plays. And I told the guys, I said, until we can run these 4, we're not going to run anything else.
Yeah.
We go into a scrimmage, you win a scrimmage, by seeing how well your kids compete, and you win a scrimmage by knowing that when you go to practice the next day, you got all healthy bodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those are the two things.
And you know what you need to work on.
What are your kids? How are they going to compete? What we got next week? And you always make some of your most improvement from your first scrimmage to the second one.
Yeah.
Just like you see in a game, you make your most improvement from the first game to the second game.
Yeah.
So,
well, one thing last year, Bill, I went to all 3 scrimmages. I didn't get to go to last night's. I really wanted to go. I'm going to try to make it to next week's out here. We're going to do Warren County, playing at
That's
Warren.
Rockville.
Oh, is it Rockville? And
The
then
Warren County is the third one.
That's right. That's the jamboree style. All right. So I'm going to go to that.
And the Rockville game's on Thursday, not Friday, I believe. No, I believe that's what he said.
Yeah. Something that I watched last year during scrimmages is what does our depth look like? The kids that aren't going to be on the field at the kickoff time, who's sitting over there that's going to come in and contribute? You got to see a lot of that during those scrimmages. You started to see that develop. And I think that's a perfect time. And I think one thing with the Shelbyville team this year, we're going to have a little more depth at some spots.
I think so too.
And that's a good sign of how the younger kids are maturing into the program.
And briefly talking to Coach a little bit, he was very high on some freshmen here that I think that's a pretty good freshman class down there. And there's going to be some contributors there.
Yeah. And we've seen these freshmen, these sophomores, and these juniors what they've done at the middle school.
That's right.
If they progressed, it ought to be pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Let's shift gears. Community. We don't know exactly how they did with Huntland. Mm-hmm. They were scrimmaging with Huntland. Hope we hear from
somebody out there. Maybe if anybody knows anything, send it to us.
But I know they're going wide open as well. And I'm sure Webb is going wide open. I think they probably got their kids back now. School's starting up.
You would hope.
They're at a real disadvantage.
What was impressive with community, I thought, Coach Grooms last week was when we looked at that depth chart and the size they had.
Yes.
Yeah,
they were a lot bigger than they were a year ago.
Yeah.
A lot bigger.
Those freshmen and sophomores are now sophomores and juniors.
There you go. That's right.
It's going to be fun to watch how they develop this year. I'm anxious to see all 3 of our county schools and see how Webb fares. I know Webb's at a disadvantage. They got small numbers.
They got small numbers, and they play in that big private school.
It's really not
tough.
Fair. But
right.
I'm fired up, guys.
Yep. I am too.
I can't wait to get out and see a scrimmage or two. And you know, Cascade scrimmages on Monday night, Shelbyville scrimmages on Friday night. I might
Thursday
night.
Here.
I might be able to get out and see both of them, and I can't wait. I'm ready to see some actual scrimmaging. The practices are what they are, a lot of drills and so forth, and you can see the athleticism. But when you see you like to see some competition taking place. Yep. And this week might be fun to watch. All right, guys, let's take a break, and we're going to come back, and we'll jump into some college football. I know, Bill, you're anxious to talk about that and the Titans.
We got big Titans news today, quite a bit of it.
Yeah, but before we do, let's stop and just hear from Kincaid Service Company. We'll be right back.
Company is a locally owned family business that has proudly served the Middle Tennessee area since 1934. We have a wide selection of furniture, appliances, electronics, and mattresses for every budget and design taste. We carry the brands that you know and trust, so you're sure to find exactly what you're looking for. Need financing? We have you covered. With our service department, you can rest assured that we will take care of you after the purchase. Visit our Shelbyville store at 400 Madison Street today.
Again, we want to thank Kincaid
Service
Company
for their sponsorship, and we just encourage you to drop in and see those guys up there, man. They've been in business since I don't know what year, man. They've been here forever, and there's a reason.
And there's a reason they've been here forever.
There's a reason they're here.
You know, a lot of people, a lot of local, don't stay that long.
I know it. I know.
And,
they're competing against the big box stores, and there's a reason they're here.
That's
and that middle name,
Service
is the reason. Mm-hmm. Please go visit them and tell them thank you for sponsoring the show.
Yes.
Let's talk about a little college football, Bill. I know you got your pad out here, and you've got 1 through 25?
That's the AP top 25.
All right. Well,
8 SEC teams in the top 25.
All right. We're going to have 12 in the playoffs, right? We got a 12-team playoff. Let's concentrate on 12 today while we're talking. Who do you guys think are the names that go into that?
The thing about this 12-team playoff is I believe 6 of them have to be conference champions.
Yeah.
So that means you're only going to have
Six
six at-large teams. Now, when we say that, that's more than the 4 we've been having. But when you get some of these,
9-3, 8-4 teams coming in when they win their conference, they won
and
they're out.
and played against nobody,
They're going to be gone.
Take Notre Dame, for example.
Yeah.
They don't play anybody, and I guarantee you they're going to do their best to put them in there one way or the other.
Oh, yeah.
They'll be one of the 6 at large.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to say Notre Dame don't play anybody. They play some pretty good
2-3 times a year.
Yeah, but that's their, that's what they've always done. That's their
Service academies, Air Force, Army.
Yeah. They got 8 wins no matter what they do
Built
every
in.
year. It's built into the schedule. Tennessee used to be that way, but it ain't that way no more in the SEC.
Oh, no.
There's no 5 guaranteed wins
not
anymore.
anymore.
I mean,
And I think
and
you're
I'm
going to
gonna tell
see
you
these SEC coaches, Kenny coach,
They're-
not playing out a conference game. That's
no,
tough.
they're
It's
going.
coming.
They're still going to play some of those
I
because their
think
fan
not.
base will want it. But you're going to see some very good SEC teams not make a playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to see some very good SEC teams that could probably beat half the field.
All right, let's talk about the top 5. I want to focus in on the top 10. Probably okay. And then you got those conference champions. They're going to be flirted, scattered in there. Let's talk about the top 5. Bill, who's your top 5 the way you see it right now?
Georgia, Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, and Ole Miss.
Oh, you didn't
I'm
say
going Ole Miss.
Alabama?
I did not say
You
Alabama.
didn't say Alabama.
I said Ole Miss.
All right. I can't argue with that. I think that you throw those.
Alabama's right behind them.
Yeah, they're right there
Alabama's
together.
right behind them.
Here's the thing: his top 5. How many conferences did he single out?
2.
2, 3. I had Oregon in there too.
Oh, you got
Oregon's in there with
They're in
that.
the
Well, they're in the
yeah,
Big Ten, aren't
Yeah,
they?
they're in the Big
That's
Ten
not
now. That's weird.
So
That's
here's the
just not
thing.
right.
That ain't right.
Here's the thing: you got 4 other conference champions that you're not even mentioning in your top 10.
I know.
I mean, your top 5, maybe even your top 10
Probably.
that are going to go and going to get a home seed playoff game.
Who are the 6 conferences that have the locked-in bye, guys?
Well, ACC's got one.
Yeah.
But the old Big 8, I don't know what they're called now.
The Big 12 or
The
whatever.
Big 12.
Okay, there's 2. Big 10, SEC, 4.
The one that the MAC or what is it what's Louisville? Is Louisville's in ACC?
Mid-Atlantic. Yeah,
Louisville's
but they
ACC.
used to be in
There's
the
two.
Mid-Atlantic.
There's 2 of those. Who was the at-large team that got into playoffs last year?
I don't remember now.
I don't
That's too
remember.
long ago. But we're talking about this year.
But we're University
Yeah.
Central Florida,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
they whatever they're playing
Right. Right.
in.
Atlantic Coast. No.
But once we got past the
or
4
the
big
American that ACC, the American Cup.
Yeah.
All right, I mean, so that's what we're getting.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the top 5. Who you got, Guinea?
I'm about like Bill. I don't care what they do with the playoffs. You're still going to talk about Georgia. You're going to talk about Ole Miss. You're going to talk about Oregon because Oregon has got that Lanning knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Yep.
You're going to talk about Texas.
Yeah.
You're going to talk about Alabama. Ole Miss is coming in this year. I know I exceeded 5, but they want to talk about some of those others. You're going to see Notre Dame's mentioned. You're going to see Clemson mentioned. You're going to see Florida State mentioned, and I don't even think they're in the conversation.
Well, I think Georgia and Texas are going to be your top 2, and then probably Oregon, Alabama. Let's see, who am I
Ohio
forgetting?
State.
Ohio State.
But
I hate even talking about them.
here's
They hit the transfer portal real good.
Here's what I don't like about the way they seed them after the season goes. SEC is going to cannibalize each other.
Yes, they are.
And when they go to looking at it, they're going to say, well, because I went to football camp there and I love that school, Clemson. Well, here's Clemson sitting at 5-1. They've only lost 1 game. And you might look at one of these SEC schools that's had to play each other and they may have lost 2 SEC games and Clemson needs to be ranked above them because they've only lost one game.
One good thing that the SEC does have going for them, every team in the SEC strength of schedule is going to be above a lot of others.
It's got to be.
Yeah, and when you put that into factor when these polls come out, you're going to have a 9-3 team sitting in the top 10. Okay, you might have 2 of them out of the SEC that's 9-3 or 8-4 in the top 10.
And I know a lot of people out there don't like him, and that's Coach Saban, but he always said, let's put the best 4 in.
Yeah.
Don't look at the records.
Yeah.
Put the best 4 in. And if we're having a true championship with 12, and I know they've got these laws that you got to put, but you need to put the best at-large teams in. And I think the committee is trying to do that a little bit.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about our teams. All right, Alabama, Kenny, where you think they're going to end up? I think they make the playoffs. I think they finish in the top 10. What do you feel?
I think Alabama's going to be pretty good.
I do too. What about you on Alabama?
And I know the kids. I
like Alabama will make it.
And I know the kids are loving this new coach.
Yeah.
Look at his record. It's impressive.
They are
impressive.
Yeah.
And he didn't start on top. He's come all the way up.
But he's won everywhere.
He's
big.
won everywhere.
What about Tennessee, guys? Where do you see them finishing out the year?
I think Tennessee's going to be pretty good.
I think they're going to make the playoff.
I think they'll be on the bubble. I think they're going to be at that
I think
11,
they'll be
12
above.
spot.
Thing about it is, Bill, if you look at you're saying right here, Georgia, I think you said Alabama, and I know you said Ole Miss. 2 of those teams are at large.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then here's Texas.
Yeah.
3 of those teams are at large, and you're not going to have but 6 at large if you
We'll
do
make it all
Tennessee.
6 of them.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't bother me, but you know what it do? The media all over the United, all over.
Yeah.
I want to say this about Tennessee real quick. This struck me when I heard it. This year, they've got a top 5 recruiting class for the first time since 2015 when Butch Jones did it once.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good class.
But that won't help this year's
It
team.
won't. But do you know when the last time it had happened before that? This blew me away.
Probably in the 80s.
Philip Fulmer.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Philip,
Early 90s?
That's when they were
Early
rolling.
2000s.
Early 2000s.
That's when they were
okay.
rolling. Yeah. They
That was
won
the last time they've been in the top 5 in
national
recruiting.
championships and all
Now,
that. Yeah.
what does that mean? I don't know, because now that you got a transfer portal, you could be top 20, but I'm 1 in the portal. I don't think this means what it used to mean.
I think you should be rating the top portal transfer people.
This is why you have Ole Miss there. Have they recruited great? No. They recruited top 20.
He's grabbing
but
half
he's
the team.
killing it in the portal.
Hey,
That's where he kills it.
I heard a comment the other day, because y'all brought up the portal. Recruiting, you got to recruit 2 different ways. When you're recruiting high school kids, you want that late commitment.
Yeah.
You want that last visit. If you get that last visit with that player, you got a better chance of getting that commitment and him signing with you. When you're doing the transfer portal, it's just the opposite. You want that first commitment because those guys have already gone through all the other stuff.
Good point.
They want to see what you got, and if they feel comfortable with that right now, they're going to lock in, and they're not going to do the second.
Not only are you recruiting, not only are you hitting the portal, you're having to re-recruit your own team every year.
Right.
That's right. And
3 ways.
And this NIL. This NIL stuff.
I tell you guys, I don't like it.
I don't
like it.
It's affecting the way you do everything.
We mentioned Missouri earlier. And one reason I think that you're seeing Missouri up in this top tier here is if you look at their schedule is the weakest schedule in the SEC. If you go down to team by team, just look at it. All right. And one other thing I want to throw out there is Kentucky. Did you see where they got put on probation for 2 years and gave up some wins?
And see who it probably puts in the Hall of Fame now? Did y'all see that?
No.
Mr. Leach.
Really?
He was missing 1 game
and he got it
from
back.
Qualifying by this forfeit.
Wow.
Mike Leach now can go into the college football Hall
I'll
of Fame.
vote for him.
I'd have voted for him anyway.
Just cause his personality.
that
he
1 game
added
makes the
color.
difference.
He added color to the game of college football.
And he revolutionized the game at a time.
He's
I
would have loved to have been able
just to sit and talk to him.
Sit and talk to him would have been something, but just be able to witness him talking in person.
He's hilarious.
He was the man.
before we shift gears and get into some pro football, let's talk about MTSU just for a second.
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
it's going to be fun to watch the new atmosphere that's starting to be born over there. And I know we've got some local kids playing. We've talked about it, but I
Got
think
some
we
local
need
kids
to,
there now. We're gonna have some local,
coming up
more local
Yeah.
kids there next year.
I think the turnaround is taking place now. It might not show up on the field this year. It's going to take a little time, but the enthusiasm level has got to bring up the entire program.
Did
I want
you,
to see people go in the game, not
Yeah.
just sit in a parking lot.
did you hear Derek Mason's? They interviewed him at one of his media days, and they were talking to him about how tough his schedule was. I think he's got Duke coming in this year to play at middle, and they were asking him, said, "Well, what about this tough schedule that MTSU's going to play?" And he said, "Listen, I coached at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
You want to talk to me about a tough schedule?
All
I
right.
coached at Vanderbilt."
All right. But before we move on to talk about some pros, Bill, have you got anything else on your scratch pad that you wanted to bring up today? I know you got a lot of notes over here.
Who is your team? You're going out there. It can't be on your board here. Your top 25. Who is the outside team that you think's going to make some motions this year that's going to come out of nowhere? Do you have anybody in mind?
I do. North Carolina State. Now they might be on there down the
They
list,
might be down.
but
All
I
right,
think
well,
they're going to be up higher than that, and it's going to shake some people. What? Didn't see that coming. I think it's them because they've been real good in the transfer portal, and I kind of watch them because, well, I've got some friends that live there, and
Okay.
it's
UCF, Central
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see
They've
that.
got some good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a lot of this school. NC State a lot of times shocks people. They think they're going to be middle of the pack, and they end up finishing.
We'll
up
see
in the
week 2,
top
and they
part.
play Tennessee.
Yeah.
That's coming
It'll be
up soon,
fun to watch.
August 31st.
Yeah, I'm anxious to
In
see
Charlotte.
Tennessee, Oklahoma, how that plays out. Man, Tennessee's got a tough schedule.
Oh, it's brutal.
It's brutal.
Now, I think Oklahoma's not going to be as good as they have been
Their schedule's brutal.
because their schedule is
It
horrible.
is.
It's
A
horrible.
lot of people have Oklahoma sliding up in here,
Mhm.
and I've got my eye on them.
I'll tell you
too.
another team I see taking a little bit of a step back is LSU, to be honest with you. I know they've
Oh,
recruited
they're
well,
going to get beat.
but your
yes.
defense was horrible. Now you've lost Jaden Daniels.
Yeah,
They had several kids leave, and several of them went to the pros.
and the schedule is different.
And the schedule's a lot different now.
I'm looking, and I don't see them on there, but I think Louisville.
They could.
I
be.
agree with
gonna
you.
They could be.
Louisville could be.
I
could
like
be.
Brom.
I
I
do too.
like their
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah.
And I think Louisville
Well,
could be.
Another guy that's hit the portal really well under the radar. Louisville's been picking up kids in that portal.
Mhm.
Well, for a few years, you see Louisville not on this list, and they slide up in there every year.
Mhm.
And eventually, he's going to earn his respect and be in this list when it starts out.
And he's going to earn
Yeah.
one of those
Yeah.
top tier
Well, yeah.
coaching
He will.
positions.
Well, guys, let's get out of here for a second and take a break and hear from First Bank. We want to thank Brent and the guys at First Bank, their whole crew, for being a sponsor here from the day one we started.
Absolutely.
First Bank's been with us. And then when we come back, we're going to talk some Titans football.
Got a lot to talk about.
We'll be right back. All right, welcome back in here to Bedford County Sports Talk Live. And again, we want to thank First Bank of Shelbyville and Kincaid Service Company.
Kincaid,
Yeah, service.
Company.
Absolutely. Where they haul it off.
they do.
But that's their new slogan. Service is their middle name.
It's our middle name.
Right.
But First Bank, man, they got a great staff down there, and they're doing a
I
good job.
agree.
We want to encourage everybody to go check them out for all your banking needs. All right, Bill, Titans talk. The big news this week: DeAndre Hopkins.
And there's two
And-
big.
and
There's
Audrey.
two. Audrey.
Yeah, I know, man.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah,
He's going
out.
to miss 4 to 6 weeks supposedly. But here's
Yeah.
the kicker on this one: it's supposedly it happened on Monday. Okay, he practiced Tuesday and Wednesday.
What happened?
Tweaked his knee.
Oh.
I call it a knee sprain.
Well, I know when they had their family practice in the field on Saturday or one day last week, whatever it was, he wasn't practicing.
Yeah.
Now, I predict that it's not that bad, and
Yeah.
we'll probably just rest him. But this leaves a great opportunity for Traylon Burks, who's had a great camp,
Yeah.
to step in and see where he's at now, playing that role.
Right.
They
All right,
got
well,
They got a big boost yesterday when the offensive tackle passed his physical. Pierre, what's his name?
Nicholas Petit Ferrer.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, the right tackle's been a problem. Now, either Tennessee's defensive line is dominant, and we know Big Jeff's good, but the Sweat kid is dominating the Titans' offensive line. They can't block him.
They say he's having a good camp.
Now, that either means you're really good or that right side of that line is not very good.
Listen, that young man was pretty good at Texas.
We've had our first official game of the NFL, though, Bill.
Yes.
And
we played nobody.
Nobody's playing those games.
I don't know. Had I been the Bears, I believe I would want my rookie quarterback to have gotten some reps.
Not in that game.
I would have, because they cut the preseason down to 3 games.
Was the field still worth playing on? Or, a couple of years ago, the turf was flying up.
I wouldn't have wanted
it. They had to call the game off in the third quarter of weather.
I wouldn't have wanted my top overall pick playing in that game.
I might have wanted
if he's not playing behind my number one line.
Exactly.
I don't want to take a chance.
Just talking about that too. The kickoff's what everybody watched it for, and I've heard some people saying, "Well,
it's going to be tweaked.
It's going to be different than that.
Whatever they're doing right now, they're going to work on it. No, they're going to. Even the officials, I think there'll be some rule changes through this preseason, and I don't think the rules will be the same in the opening game of the season than they are in preseason.
What coach figures this out and starts running reverses, maybe home run throwback play? I think you're going to see some crazy stuff on these kickoffs.
Probably so. Changing gears just a little bit, Bill. Well, let's talk about the NFL drug policy. It got us in a bind over nothing.
Is suspended 6 games.
Yes, they got to change this.
D'Amico Autry too. Yeah. And it's over prescription drugs by a doctor where you test positive for something small. Or and I'm not saying it's small, but I don't think this guy was on steroids or anything like that. It's like you took a pain medication the doctor gave you and it had one thing in it and you test positive for it.
Yeah.
Now,
the doctor gave it to you.
Now, let me ask you this one. What if you tested positive for an illegal drug? I'm going to throw it out there. Cocaine. What do they do to you then?
Oh, no.
Marijuana. Never hear about that.
I
understand the steroid aspect, but the nitpicky of you took an ibuprofen that had a little bitty something in it.
Yeah, they got to reevaluate.
D'Amico Autry, who played for the Titans last year with the Texans, is extremely upset. He's appealing. Key's been low key here, but what do you do now without your defensive end for 6 weeks? Your defensive
Weaver.
You got Weaver, Caleb Murphy, undrafted, Jalen Harrell, a 7th-round pick, Thomas Rush, undrafted, and Shane Ray, who's old.
And you better hope you don't get an injury. And you've got is it the guy on the other side? Landry? Is
Harold Landry?
Harold Landry, yeah.
Coming off an injury.
Yeah. I tell you, they might be pretty good there.
Well, you need to go sign somebody. One or two. And they're out there. And we got $23 or $4 million. So go get us somebody.
All right. So you're insider, Bill. What are they telling you about who's looking good right now so far?
So far, this Andre Sweat has looked awesome. But now, Big Jeff is great too, so that's tough.
What about the fight?
That's just football.
I know, but that sounds fun to me. And it's a rookie, and the king.
Here's the thing.
Yeah,
the rookie is trying to make his name, and if I'm going to go out there after somebody,
go after him.
I'm going to go after the dog.
You know what?
But Big Jeff let it linger too long with him when he went by and made a comment. That was the worst thing he did.
When he went after Buck Rising from 145.
When he said something to that, that's the thing.
And he knows he apologized. All's good.
Right, but everybody's right now.
Who else is looking really good? Kenneth Murray looks great.
Okay.
He's dominant. He looks like I told what he did back at Oklahoma. Now, he's not a green dot linebacker. He is an attack the football linebacker.
Right.
And maybe San Diego was using him in the wrong spot. I think he's going to be a big surprise for you. Traylon Burks. He's had a great camp. The guy had talent all along. It was, can you stay on the field?
Yep. That's the question. That's going to be the question when the season starts.
Still going to be the question.
Yeah. 5 games. Mm-hmm. 5 games and he'll be done. Mm-hmm. And he might do 3.
I'm hopeful.
He might do 3 and then have a big gap and finish up a little bit. But it's just some players get in that mode, and that's just where
sometimes your talent's only good if you're on the field usually.
Yeah.
Any of you guys out there can Twitter this up, as I call it. Go to YouTube and watch Traylon Burks single-handedly basically destroy Alabama. I mean, that game he played against Alabama was insane. Alabama won the game, but Burks had 3 or 4 touchdowns, like 200, 300 yards receiving.
Yeah.
The guy can play. It's getting it out of him.
That's one of the few games I guess he played that season. But
No, he
just
played
got
a lot
a-
his senior season.
How's his asthma situation? I know he's got
I think
asthma.
he's in the best shape of his career. I'm
Good.
told he's ripped.
I'm hoping it is.
I think that was part of the problem is he came in out of shape the last two camps.
But you can't.
You know who else we've seen? Caleb Farley's had a best week of practice in
Really?
the pro. I think it's an uphill battle for him to make this football team.
But he's a talent.
He's had a heck. He was guarding D-Hop earlier in the week. Had several.
He's
You
a
can watch a
talent.
lot of this stuff on YouTube, but you can watch most of these practices because someone's out there with a phone and putting it on YouTube. This kid looked really good.
How about our punter?
Stonehouse is back.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
He's back.
Yeah.
Good.
He's not on the pup. He's back.
Good.
He's one of our greatest weapons.
And that was a serious,
Hopefully-
serious injury.
hopefully-
Hopefully he's not. That's one of our greatest weapons.
All right.
He's
But
not.
no,
I
he's
know.
always a weapon.
Hey,
He,
buddy, he can flip the field
if-
and be on
if-
your 10-yard line.
if his leg and all is able to do what he was able to do
Yeah.
last year before he got hurt, he's
He's the best punter
He's
in the NFL
special.
scene.
special.
Well, it's going to be interesting because next Saturday, August 10th, at Nissan Stadium is your first preseason game, and it's the 49ers and the Titans. That's going to give you a good. The
Well,
49ers are pretty doggone good.
We might
But
see a
again,
handful of starters.
you probably not going to see very many starters.
No.
Here.
Callahan said you're going to. At
Oh,
least
really?
Well,
It's going to be different than Vrabel.
A
If y'all
corner,
remember
one
Vrabel,
corner.
we played nobody.
Oh, we didn't even dress half of them out.
I mean, for none of the games. And then always week one, if you think about it, the Titans look awful.
didn't look as well. I agree.
Now, Callahan's already said we're going to play.
Yeah.
Now, how long?
Well,
that may mean a
and-
series. It may mean a
You
quarter.
know, and Callahan with his Titans team is sort of like Karkoff with his Cascade team. They got all this new terminology coming
Yeah.
in. It's time for them to get out there and see what how your players are adapting with it. And
Yeah. Well,
I
let's
got
be,
a coach that plays in the preseason. His name's Andy Reid. Andy Reid, if you think about it,
Who's
plays
he coach
Mahomes. That's three out of 4 years defending Super Bowl 2-time champions, and he plays in the preseason, and that's why he always gets off to a good start.
yeah.
Now, yes, you could get an injury, but guys, even if you got it in the preseason, who's to say you wouldn't have had it week one anyway?
But as an NFL head coach and the coaching staff, aren't you looking to see who you keeping and who you getting rid of? And you're basing it on the actual game that's taking place. You got to have them out there. You know?
I'm sitting here laughing because I've read a lot of Green Bay Packer books
Yeah.
and a lot of old history books with the NFL. You know, back in the 60s, they played 6 preseason games, and their starters played every
Yeah,
snap in
yeah.
all 6 of them.
And you were a wimp if you didn't
And,
play.
and we're talking about a 17-game schedule now
yeah,
season.
yeah,
They played 6 preseason games,
yeah.
knockout, drag out, and then played their 11 or 12 same deal.
There's a famous photo of George Blanda sitting in the locker room at a preseason game against the Green Bay Packers. He's sitting at halftime with his helmet off, smoking a cigarette and a Fresca on the floor. That's at halftime. And let's see. No, it was Lynn Dawson, not George Blanda. Lynn Dawson for the Kansas City Chiefs. And it looked like he'd been through a war, and that was a preseason game. So that right there is just
We won't get into
different.
change.
We won't get
Difference.
into Kenny Stabler, will we?
No.
Hey,
Let's
We won't
leave
get
Kenny
into
Stabler
that.
alone.
No.
Kenny Stabler, there was more of them out there just like him.
Oh,
Just like-
yeah, they were all about like that. Joe Namath, the whole bunch.
Said you had to
but-
throw up at halftime.
Yeah.
Get ready for the second half.
Yeah. All right.
But joint practices is the difference
Yeah,
here. You
yeah.
get more
You're
out of
gonna-
that than you do the preseason.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and nobody sees it.
Yeah.
Nobody
No, we
sees
don't
it.
talk about
they'll
that.
share it, nobody
Yeah.
will see it. Yeah.
All right.
With these sneaky little Twitter phones, we may be able to get some glimpses,
Yeah.
but I bet the team
Yeah.
cuts that off.
We need to wind down, guys. It's been fun today. But before we do, I want to throw out one other thing, and I want to get your opinion on it. It's something I saw this morning. There's a sports writer, I can't remember his name, said that he'd been watching the Patriots, and he thinks Joe Milton's going to win the starting job over May.
Really?
Over Drake, yeah.
Well,
Milton's got an arm. He-
What do you
never
think
happened.
about it?
Never happened. They brought in, what's his name? The guy that is the quarterback. He's going to
he's
be your
been
starter.
around.
Been around.
Yeah, I can't even
I
think of
don't
his
know.
name now.
I don't keep up with him.
Jacoby,
Jacoby
Briscoe,
Brisket.
Brisket. Yeah, I know.
He's-
He's
That's going to be the
yeah.
starter.
He started for the Colts.
Colts, yeah.
But here's
Yeah.
the thing about it. The guy, I said some NFL team is going to fall in love with this guy. He's got a huge arm. but can he read defenses? Can he?
We will see.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Here's my big thing about starting all these, and I think Chicago is going to make a major mistake when they put him out there on the field the first game. I don't care how talented they are. I think they need to learn a little while before they go in.
Yeah.
I think they need to see
Not
the
everybody's
actual
Peyton
game.
Manning.
Yeah.
Look
I
what they
think
did
they-
to David Carr when he was a freshman. They ruined his career.
I think they need to see the game a little bit
Yeah.
before they play. And, you know, I can say that because my son's working at a place where their quarterback set 3 years.
Yeah.
Problem is with the big money, it's hard to do.
I know
It's
it.
hard-
I know
it's
it. They're
harder
sitting there
to do
eating that
now.
meter's running.
And I'm going to say one other thing. It's back to that quarterback position of Joe Milton. It's one thing to look good in a pair of shorts and throw a football.
Yeah.
Let's do it with the live bullets
Exactly.
firing.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just don't think it's in
Yeah.
the kid.
This sports writer, I forget what his name is. He's on Sports Illustrated. You should look it up and read it. It's an interesting take on it. Jacoby Brissett, that's his name.
That's
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
that's going
Yeah.
to be your
Yeah.
starter. And I think
Yeah.
the problem is the kid from North Carolina has obviously been a disappointment thus far. But I probably could have told
They're
him
not
that when
what
they
he.
did it.
They're not what he thought.
I never thought they
Yeah.
was what everybody thought.
I
he
did not
was.
either.
All right, well,
In
guys,
fact, I like the kid from Washington better than Atlanta took. The kid
guys,
from
it's going to be a
Washington.
fun year. We're going to have a lot to talk about every week.
Well, everybody get out Thursday night and check out the Golden
Yeah,
Eagles
and
right here at home.
Monday at
Monday,
Cascade.
Cascade.
And-
Freeway.
And I'm sure Community's
And
probably
Community's got a
something.
home game, I think, Friday night
Friday,
with
yeah.
Presbyterian somebody.
Yeah.
PCA. I think.
PCA.
Yeah.
Yep.
Guys, thanks for watching. Again, we want to thank our sponsors, Kincaid
Service.
Company.
and First Bank of Shelbyville. We'll be back again with a lot of scoop, a
Yep.
lot of talk,
Let's hope we
and
can have-
hopefully we'll have a special guest next week.
Yeah.
Oh,
coming
we're going to
in.
have the Harris Middle School
Right.
coaches
We
and the
do.
Liberty Junior High
Right.
coaches on
Yeah.
next week.
And I've talked with Coach Carcuff last night, and he said for us just to tell him
Okay.
what
All right.
Good.
All right. Well, great. We're going to have a lot of input from some coaches, and that's always good to hear. Guys, thanks for watching. We'll be back again, same place.